Hi everyone, Troy Richardson here. In this presentation we're diving into a crucial aspect of ziplining that is oftentimes overlooked. Different types of emergency brakes and your needs for them. Because ziplining is not about the thrills, it's more about safely stopping your zipliner so everyone can enjoy the experience. Where this video fits in emergency brake training, zipliner arrival speed is different types of emergency brakes. The 5 pre-quiz questions that we gave before this presentation will be discussed throughout this presentation. We'll answer those questions like, why are zipline brakes inspections important? What's the most reliable braking device? Are all zipline braking devices emergency brakes? Why do we need 3 brake systems? And which braking device has the fewest related accidents? Why are zipline brake inspections important? Well, the answers include to ensure optimal performance of the brake system daily, to meet the legal requirements and the requirements in the standards, to prevent accidents and injuries, because braking failures are still number one, 60% I believe, and at least 70% of the cases that I'm doing, because inspections are required, and I hope they can reduce your insurance costs by lowering your accident rates. 2. What is the most reliable zipline braking system? Well, we're going to list the top 5. This is from my experience of over 22 years. The spring braking systems have the lowest related accidents. I've done 1 accident with the spring system of my 70, and it was because the inspections were missed. Mechanical friction braking trolleys have safely stopped zipliners for decades. In fact, the ones at Park City Mountain Resort are still doing it with accident-free braking. Today, on the eddy current braking systems, that's what Headrush Technology sells, and they're better than no braking system. The expandable bungee brakes have been around for decades, and I don't like them. Number 2, what is the most reliable zipline braking device? Spring brakes. They have the lowest braking-related accidents. Mechanical friction braking trolleys are number 2. Eddy current magnetic braking systems that Headrush Technology sells, I believe, are probably the number 3. These old bungee brakes, I wouldn't rely on them. Pressing knots, they don't do what they're supposed to do. Some systems use them, and this gravity braking that the industry has talked about is an oxymoron. Gravity is an acceleration. You don't brake falling. Number 3. Are all zipline braking devices emergency brakes? Let's look at these answers. No. Emergency brakes reset themselves. They're like a spring system that compresses, and when it's done stopping the zipliner and the zipliner is off the line, it goes back into place without any activation from participants or guides. And if your brake system needs to be reset by the staff or participant, it's not an e-brake. If they require any kind of staff activation like the zip key and some of these auto press-ix, e-brakes always have resetting abilities, and you have to inspect them like everything else daily. Number 4, why do ziplines need 3 brake systems? Well, it's in the standards. A 3-to-1 factor of safety to me means 3 brakes. Park City Mountain Resort, the zipline I built in 2002, we had a fail-safe trolley and a 60-foot long spring system, because 2 spring systems have been failing for decades. Having another to back up the zipliner is the best practice, and it's in the standards, because the standards have a minimum factor of safety of 3-to-1, and life safety is 5-to-1. Because fail-safe, which is often termed, or primary-secondary brake systems, is a 2-to-1 system. If it fails, it's safe. If it's primary and fails, it's secondary. There's not a third. And braking-related failures are still over 50%. They've been that way for a decade. The fail-safe on primary-secondary needs to be a 3-to-1 factor of safety. Number 5, what braking device is a standalone emergency brake? Well, spring arrays, properly designed for the arrival speed, are stand-alone. When we built Park City Mountain Resort, we knew we were going to have a 60-mile-per-hour arrival if the trolley braking system failed, and so we put 60 feet of springs. Normally springs are about 1 mile per hour per spring. The Headrush Technology Zip Stop, you are required to have 2 of them with a buffer. The fail-safe friction braking trolleys are part of the 3-to-1 factor of safety with a spring array. So different types of e-brakes. Headrest Technology Zip Stop, they have an IR and others, and our spring arrays. Let's look at them. In this video, notice how the Zipliner stops with that one braking system, the second one is not activated. And you can capture the link. You'll see this 14-second video of somebody stopping with a headrush. So let's look at the Headrest Technology Zip Stop. You can capture the link on the left-hand side, but we'll watch this 14-second video. In the video, pay attention to all the components that stop the Zipliner. The Zipliner is on a 2-wheeled trolley with no braking. And so anything that comes in contact with that stopping mechanism, the rider, and that stopping mechanism components all need to be inspected daily. Pros and cons of the Zip Stop: they're safer than most brakes. They're a reputable company, and they're safer than gravity braking. Annual recertification is required. Here's how the emergency brake works. You would have to have a buffer. You have one Zip Stop that's right here on the far left. It would be your emergency brake. This one up here, they're saying, is your primary brake. And so what happens when the rider hits this is they come in and it pushes it back to here. If it gets in contact with this brake stop that moves along the cable, it's not an emergency brake. That's why we have this buffer. So the next emergency brake that we're going to talk about is a spring array. Spring arrays are safer, but they do have to have longer platforms. But they're easy to inspect and easy to install. Different types of e-brakes. Spring arrays, properly designed, are the best emergency brake in my opinion. This is due to research of almost 100 accidents that I've investigated, and only one spring issue occurred. So we're going to look at this video. It's about a minute long. It's me installing this spring system. Here I am showing this emergency brake system that I installed just to demonstrate how easy it is to install a spring system. Let's look at the video now.
A 10-spring system will install in minutes rather than hours. Try to do that with the leading Zipline braking system that's not a true emergency brake or a true emergency arrest device, which is standalone. The advantage of this spring is it has multiple compression rates. As you notice, when I squeeze this together, the center closes faster. That means that you have a lighter, softer compression when you come in. You're not going to come in and hit a very stiff spring. Similar to this one right here. These are very rigid. They all compress at the same rate, so this one will compress at the same compression as this one, and so on. If you've ever had to install one of these cylinders,
We'll dive into it, but this is a 10-minute video that you can see how easy it is to install and inspect this type of a barrel-shaped spring system. The conical spring system, the one I have in my hand right here, is what's been around for decades. Park City Mountain Resort used similar springs like this. So the pros and cons of spring arrays. Well, the pros are they're easy to install and inspect. They don't have an annual return for recertification like most devices. They have a 4-year lifetime. In my opinion, they're the best EAD or e-brake because they have the fewest accidents. They're corrosion resistant if they're made out of stainless. And the ones that I find out there have 200,000 cycles or a 5-to-1 factor of safety, which is 1 million cycles normally, but you should replace them at 200,000. The cons are, yes, you're going to have longer platforms. Usually it's one spring per 1 mile per hour. So that's why it's important to know your arrival speeds, because if you're 10 miles per hour, you should have at least 10 springs. But this all needs to be properly designed. The length of the spring pack sometimes is problematic. 60-foot spring packs are not really Zipline tour through some trees. So you'd have to have a 60-foot long platform to go with that spring pack. But we have solutions, and you can contact American Adventure Park Systems for more information. So let's look at the pros and cons of spring arrays. Well, they're easy to install and inspect. The video showed you that. No annual return for recertification. Granted, you're going to want to do a dye penetrant test to make sure there's no cracks in the springs annually. They have a 4-year lifetime. They're the best EAD or emergency brake. They're corrosion resistant if they're made out of stainless. And they have 200,000 cycles. That means they can stop 200,000 zipliners with a 5-to-1 factor of safety, meaning that this spring system is rated at 1 million cycles, but a 5-to-1 factor of safety puts it at 200,000 for replacement. The cons are, yes, you're going to have longer platforms. Look at some of the platforms in the video, and the length of the spring pack is definitely going to be an issue if you have arrival speeds over 10, 12 miles per hour, because that's 10 feet of spring or 12 feet of spring. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my experience, strength, and hope for a safer zipline industry in the future. Thank you.